Well, generally speaking, anything that exists because somebody made it, and they made it with intentional will. Like that's why we're using our computers and our houses and all the different things that we use. It was made because we intended to create them in the first place. But you're trying to say
That's
then
an
that
insane
something
statement.
far more advanced than that came into existence by itself for no reason.
Who said anything came into existence by itself?
You. That's
When
what
did I
you're
say
saying.
that?
You're saying if we don't have creation, that's how it came about.
So you were specifically talking about people, and it's true
Well, just
whether or not a
everything in
God
existence.
exists.
Everything in existence, man. Anything.
Sure,
Anything and
water
everything.
molecules. What about
Sure.
them?
So they just came into existence by themselves
No,
for no
not by
reason.
themselves.
Ah, so they were created?
There's a, like, you can use that word. That's fine. That doesn't mean that there's a person behind it, or even an invisible magical person, or even an invisible magical thing that's not a person and has no qualities that can actually be described, because nobody claims that you can actually describe the creator or understand the creator, yet they personify it in a bunch of dumb ways. So
Okay, gotcha. So basically it did it by accident by itself.
who said it was an accident, and who said it did it by itself?
You just did because you
No, I
said that
didn't.
there's no intelligent design behind it.
Yeah, I never claimed what made anything begin to exist.
Okay, then obviously then intelligent design existed, therefore God.
Do you know what an argument from ignorance is?
Yes, it's exactly what you're trying to make here because you're trying to
No,
say that
it's
it didn't
it's
do it, but it did
unironically
do it.
what you did.
No, it's not. I just told
Yes,
you.
it is. You
You have
said,
to have
"Oh,
intent
Planet
in order to
Peterson,
create something.
you don't know how it happened." That means God did it. So you have zero evidence behind your claim, and you said because you don't know how this one particular thing happened, therefore my claim is correct. That's not how it works. That isn't
Well,
evidence.
it is because something has to have a creator. I know the phone
If
works. I
that's
don't know
true,
how
then
it
the
works. I
creator
don't know
has to
who
have a
made it,
creator.
but I know that my phone was created and that
Who
it
created your
works, and that's what
creator?
I'm using.
Who created the creator?
Who created the creator? Well, that's a great question, isn't it?
Yeah, who
Is
created
that
the
where you want to
creator?
start? Oh, you want to go back to that?
Who created the creator?
The inevitability of existence suggests that eventually something had to come into its own consciousness and it created itself.
Okay, that thing is the universe. There, no God. That proves it. You just literally proved it.
But why isn't
What do
the
you want to talk
universe
about now?
part of God?
So, by the way, we are not talking about evolution right now, which is kind of annoying. So,
Well, you are,
let's
but
go back to
the universe
evolution.
obviously is part of the creation, isn't it? Which
No,
is obviously part
because
of the
how the
evolution.
universe begins to exist has no truth bearing on whether or not evolution happens.
It's like inevitable. It has to happen before evolution could even exist in the first place.
Iron
What are you
Horse,
talking about? Do you
you're
not even
you're
understand
you're
your own
you're very
words?
precious. You're adorable, but I actually don't give two shits of a fuck. If you're just gonna be this fucking stupid, then I'm actually not going to talk to you. We're gonna talk about evolution, and that's it. Okay. So none of this
Okay.
shit about where the universe came from or anything like that.
So evolution just started from nothing because it had already
It doesn't
happened.
matter how. I'm only going to address this one more time. It doesn't matter how it started. We don't need to know that to know whether or not what we know
Oh,
about the way it works is true. That's
so
not part
selective
of it.
breeding we can
So
obviously work
let's
with because
talk
we can do
about
that in our lifetime.
species evolving. What do you want to,
Selective breeding, mate, it's got nothing to do with evolution. I don't even know why you're trying to discuss this if you can't even discuss the origins.
selective breeding is not the origins of evolution. So what are your actual, like,
Well,
questions
it
about
definitely is
evolution?
because if you didn't selectively breed, then you obviously wouldn't be alive now.
Do
But
trees
you
selectively
have to start
breed?
somewhere.
Iron Horse, do trees selectively breed?
Absolutely.
Okay, so quite a lot of trees are fertilized by pollen which blows in the wind. So tell
Yeah.
me how the wind selectively pollinates and fertilizes trees.
Random selection.
You said it's selective breeding, which means
You
there's
you definitely have
deliberate
both.
action behind the breeding. So tell me how wind-blown pollen is selective breeding.
Where did the pollen come from?
Yeah, so that's irrelevant to the question of the pollen fertilizes the eggs in the other trees. So tell me how that is selective.
Oh, so the eggs came from somewhere too. Where did the eggs come from? So you can't even address the origins of your own
So
belief.
I'm going to be
You've got to
completely honest with you.
seriously
You're an actual stupid person
you've got a seriously held belief here, but you can't even digest into the origins of where your beliefs come from. And you call me stupid.
because you are stupid. You are
No, I'm
matter
not.
of factly a very unintelligent human being.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, the last two words might not have been completely accurate. I'm not totally sure. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not sure of anything. You actually come across as one of the dumbest people I've ever met.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
really.
Because I don't know where the universe came from or what?
Well, whatever you want to start with. If you're going to talk about evolution, you have to at least trace its origins back to something, and you can't even do that. You just don't
You
even
no,
want to
you
talk
don't
about it.
have to do that to know that it's true.
To know that selective breeding is true, you
Iron
know, I
horse.
know that I can.
Is this an aluminum can?
I imagine so.
Does aluminum have 13 protons?
I wouldn't know, does it?
Well, it does. I mean, you could just look at a periodic table and figure that out.
Then I assume
Okay,
probably
cool.
it
Do
does.
you know what factory produced this can?
No, I do not.
So you don't know that it's made of aluminum. You don't know anything. You're dumb. You're
You're
actually
telling the
dumb
story, brother.
because you
You're
don't know
telling the
where the
story.
aluminum can came from. Therefore, you don't know that it's aluminum.
Did you know that
That's
at
like
one
literally
stage in human
embarrassing. How are you
history,
not
aluminum
embarrassed
was
right now?
considered one of the most rarest materials, more rare than gold at
Aluminum
one
is
stage, and now it's the
aluminum
most
is
common?
the fourth most common metal in the Earth's crust.
Exactly. But at one stage, it was considered one of the rarest. That
No,
was
it was always
science.
the most common or one of the
No, no,
most
no, no.
common.
No,
We
you can
couldn't we
look it
couldn't
up.
purify it because it takes a huge amount of energy to separate aluminum from pretty sure it's oxygen, aluminum
Well, we
oxide.
wouldn't be bottling our soft drinks in the stuff if it was so rare and so expensive to produce. It's one of the cheapest and most common abundant materials known on the earth.
Therefore, so you
Therefore,
don't
what you
know
just
where
said
this
is
was
full of
made,
shit. You
right?
don't know shit.
Let's just get this straight. You don't know where this can came from, right?
I don't know the specific factory.
There,
Of course
then
not.
then you don't know that iron is one of the cheapest and that aluminum is one of the cheapest and most plentiful materials on our planet. See, this is what I'm doing is extremely stupid, but it's exactly what you're doing. So,
No, no.
anyways,
At one
you
stage, it was
said that
considered so
evolution
rare.
can't happen unless there is selective breeding, but that's completely false because it's not just trees, lots of plants, and the way they reproduce is pretty much random, actually. Now, the survival of organisms is non random because we have natural selection. That's the whole point, right? So I just want to point out that when you said
Did you?
selective breeding, that's not a necessary component. So I would urge you not to make that point when you talk to evolution. Sorry, talk to
Did
people
you
about
know?
evolution because it makes you look really dumb. I wouldn't do that anymore.
Did you know, Mister, that once upon a time it was considered by the scientific field of knowledge that it would be impossible for mankind to travel faster than 40 miles per hour in a locomotive because
Yeah,
it
because
would
they thought
just,
they wouldn't be able to breathe. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What does that have to do with evolution?
Well, that's a scientific theory back in its day.
That's not a
We're,
scientific
we're in the
theory.
same
That
era
was that
now
was wild
with what you're
speculation
talking
and
about
it
with
wasn't
your
backed up by
evolutionary
evidence.
theory. With your evolutionary theory, you're in the same period. You're actually behind them.
It's literally been experimentally proven to be true.
It has not.
Yes, it
There's
has.
absolutely Well, then, therefore, you'd be able to go back to trace its origins and say, where did life come from in the first place? Where did consciousness get injected into
Yeah, so
inanimate matter?
consciousness is not evolution. So nice try.
Where did it
But
get injected
consciousness is
into
very
inanimate
clearly a
matter?
product of the brain because you can alter brain states and therefore alter conscious states. So
Yeah,
there we
but where
go.
did that get injected into inanimate
It's
matter?
not something that gets injected. I don't know what you're even trying to say. Once again, we're only talking
Oh, well,
about
I'm trying to say
evolution.
that there's either nothing, and then there's living life force inside of stuff, which is what we are, living things. In where animate matter, where did we get animated from in the first place without somebody deliberately doing that? That's what I'm talking about.
So, are you talking about where did life itself come from, or where did human
Yeah,
beings that have the ability to think
not
come
just
from?
humans, any life, any life.
Right. Again, so that's abiogenesis. And I told you earlier that we're not having a conversation about that because
But
it
that's
doesn't
the whole
matter.
evolutionary
It doesn't
process. You have to
matter
trace it
if
back.
it doesn't matter if the voodoo witch or whatever you believe in created us or not. That doesn't validate or invalidate the truth of evolution.
So you've already then invoked a god force in the first place and then evolution. Gotcha.
Have I ever told you that you're like one of the smartest people I've ever met?
Not yet.
No? Okay, good, because it would be a lie. I wanted to make sure. Um, so if evolution was true, what would the evidence look like?
If evolution was true, what the evidence looked like.
Yeah.
Once again, I would still want to find out the origins of it.
Yeah.
That's what
So
I
the
would try to
question
find.
is if evolution was true, what would the evidence look like?
Probably not what we're looking at now.
Yeah. So what would the evidence look like?
That would take me several days to think about.
So you don't even know.
No, not off the top of my head. I've never been asked that before.
That's really interesting. So,
If evolution were true, what would it look like?
yeah.
I'd probably make it look organic. I'd probably try to make it look as realistic as possible. I'd probably try to make it have
Oh
pain
God.
and
I
pleasure and
can't
that
tell
sort of
if you're a
stuff.
troll, but
Well,
we're
you,
gonna do
I've
this and
never
then we're
been
just
asked
gonna be
that
done
question
because
before.
this isn't worth it because it's not really actually very entertaining and you're a really bad faith arguer. So, anyways, if evolution is true, it means that all life on this planet is related, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. It comes from the same chip
How
off
do
the
you
same block.
tell if two things are related?
You look for familiar parameters,
Such as,
such as did they were they chipped off the same block? You know what I mean? Like have
I
you got
don't
the
think you even know
DNA
what you mean.
sequence?
You look at their DNA, buddy, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I just
okay.
said.
Well, all life on the planet shares DNA and shares specific genes. That means all life on the planet is related. By your own admission, that means that we have evidence that evolution is true. So I'll let you
That's
say
not
whatever you
true,
want to
man. That's
say
not true at
in
all. That's a
response to
false
that, but
assumption.
then we're done because
You just made
it's
a
not fun
completely false
anymore.
assumption, dude. How can you assume they came from the same source just because they share so much?
I didn't say anything about no fucking sauce, buddy.
You
Okay,
did.
so
You did. That's what you just fucking said, dude. You literally just said that we all have the same origin because we
you
share
mean I
DNA in
said we're
common.
all related? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and
And what does related mean?
you admitted that.
Related
Well, you didn't really
to
admit anything, I guess, but you
related
we walk
to
we walked you through what the evidence for that would look like, and
what does related mean?
you agreed to all of it, and the fact is that is the evidence we have. So, how do you live with your worldview despite the evidence? I just want to hear your answer to that, and then that's basically it.
How do I live with my worldview? I'm a
Knowing
realist,
that the
man. I
evidence we
understand
have
that
is
the Earth is
contrary to
flat
it.
and stationary. I understand we all have a common ancestor because we all are chipped off the same block. We're all children of God. We all live on the Mother Earth. What else do you need to know?
I would like an answer to the question of how do you deal with your worldview that tells you evolution is false, even though the evidence that you admitted what it would be is the evidence, or that what the evidence that would prove it to be true we have. That came out pretty awkwardly, but you're a smart guy. You know what I meant.
Yeah. The theory of evolution is just invented by mankind to try and explain away the fact can't accept the fact that we are divinely created.
Yeah, so I got bad news for you. God, the concept of God was invented by man as well. But that wasn't an answer to my question. I'll give you one more chance because I'm feeling a bit charitable. Um, Despite the fact that you think evolution is false, all and we have the proof that it would be true as admitted to by you, how do you deal with that?
There's no way to prove that evolution itself is true because the thing is, if a certain change, for example, like a deformity or whatever you guys call it in your theory of evolution, um, it would not be a positive change. Like, for example, if a butterfly was
It's
going to come
literally
out of its
false. This has been experimentally
chrysalis
proven to be not true.
and only had half of a wing, then obviously it would never have
Yep.
evolved
So
to
once again,
become a
this is
proper
literally
butterfly. So
experimentally proven to be not true. We have taken organisms in labs and they have spontaneously developed genetic changes that have been good for them. I can give
sure,
you
sure.
specific examples if you want.
But what about the billions and
No,
billions
you
that wouldn't
said
have
you
been
said that any
beneficial?
change would be bad. I have just
Yeah.
told you that no, we have actually scientific proof that that's not the case. So what you said is
Okay.
false. I need you to admit that what you said isn't true.
So why are there not the billions of examples of things that failed until the one that got right?
What the hell
How
did
can I get it
what
right
what
every time?
what did that mean?
How can I get it right first time every time?
It doesn't. You know that when
But
an
you
you know
just
that
said
when
it does.
organism
You've said
you know
you've
that
done it.
every
You've done the
member
test.
of a population is different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so because they're all different, that means they're not all the same, which
So
means
where
it's
the
not
billions of
getting it
butterflies
right
been
every single time. That was a dumb
Where's the
statement.
billions of butterflies then born with deformed wings that don't allow them to fly? Every single one that comes
Yeah,
out every
that's not a
time
pro.
works right.
I highly doubt that you have any clue what natural selection is.
I absolutely do.
Okay,
Like, how
so
does a
go
bird's
ahead go ahead and
feather
fail to
work?
describe it. It'll be really funny. Go ahead.
Okay, like there could be in every clutch of bird eggs, there's going to be one that's going to come out with wings that don't actually work. So that one's not going to survive, obviously, because the wings weren't perfect, the feathers weren't correct. But how could the first feather come out correct in the first place for all the other billions and billions of birds who have perfectly working feathers, which would have taken billions of years to evolve on their own out of trial and error? They would never have reached the stage where they'd become successful because every time they'd be dragging in the mud and other the crocodiles or whatever would have been eating them in the first place
So
before
you
they even got
you
a
do you
chance.
do have a tenuous grasp of natural selection. Color me impressed. Um, but yeah, because sometimes birds today are born and their feathers aren't very good. That means no feather ever could have been produced that worked. Are there birds that are born today with functional feathers? Yes. So what you said is false? Yes. Okay. What do you want to talk
Yeah,
about
but where
next?
did they come from in the first place? They would have had to
From
evolve
the
them in
integumentary
your
system.
theory of evolution. They had
Outgrowths
no
of
reason to
integument.
evolve them until they worked perfectly. Until they worked
Show me
perfectly,
one
they had
thing
no
that works
reason
perfectly.
to create the in between
Iron
stages.
Horse, show me anything that works perfectly.
Well, as I said, there was no reason to have all the in between stages until they worked perfectly in the first place.
So the question is show me or give me an example of literally anything that works perfectly. You'll have to unmute yourself.
As I said, anything that works is working perfectly.
Okay, that's a very stupid statement. Can you think of we'll do it this way
Okay,
to
your
so we
computer.
we can prove that what you said was dumb. Can you give me an example of anything that exists that cannot be improved upon?
Nope.
Therefore nothing is perfect.
Everything works as much as it has to work.
Yeah, that's very consistent with evolution. It's not about perfect, it's about good enough. If it
It's
conveys an
it's about your
advantage, it can
theory
be
of
selected
evolution,
for.
though. It's all about your theory of evolution. There's nothing that actually worked until somebody actually improved upon it to make it work better. I mean, we're not still working on the old Microsoft 356, are we? Things have evolved because we had a reason to make them better.
Yeah, Microsoft Office products don't have anything to do with whether or not evolution is true. Like I said, I think you're really precious, and it was fun for a while,
Yeah,
but
sure,
I
man.
think you're actually just kind of a liar or something. I don't know. You're kind of a goofy guy. So I'll talk to you never, hopefully. Bye.
No worries. Bye.